and in today's episode I'm going to be sharing a bit of a behind the scenes look at my life and business for the first quarter of the year. So we're now past spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I just thought it would be a good time to share just a bit of a behind the scenes look at what I've had going on in my life and business. I really love this kind of content. I think it's really interesting. I love to get a better sense of what people have got going on in the background and how their business and life fit together and things like that. And I'm going to be sharing things like my income for each month so far this year and what I was getting up to and what offers and things I've had in business, and just a little bit about what's been going on in my life as well. So to go back to January, and it feels like January was forever ago now, I started off the year, I did a live round of my program Enchanting Challenges. There wasn't like loads of people in that live round, but the people who were in and who did run challenges, they had good results from that, and that was really good fun, and I enjoyed hosting that live round. And then another thing that I did business wise was I just did a bit of a general shout out in terms of these are the services that I have and this is how you can work with me in January, and that was actually quite effective in terms of bringing in some new clients and some new interest. So that was really great as well, and that was really simply just like a PS at the end of an email newsletter and an Instagram post, I think, from what I remember. So that worked really quite well. One of the things I've noticed, like in general over the last quarter, is that the number of courses and programs that I'm selling completely hands off. So I'm not launching them or I'm not actively trying to sell them or promote them. The number of sales that I've been making from those kind of things has really increased. And that's been quite cool to see that, and I'll talk a bit more about that as I get towards March and stuff as well, but that's been really cool. And in January I noted that I'd sold a copy of one of my oldest courses, which is Mindset Makeover course, which is something I wrote around and created around our mindset of food and our body, and I sold one of those and a few other little courses and things as well, and that was just really cool. I thought I was really fab that that's been happening without me having to do anything. And then in terms of other things as well, I made a couple of investments in January. So I joined a new membership, Not Your Average membership by Zach, and I can't remember his surname because I'm rubbish, but I joined his membership. That's really something around a lot around marketing and Facebook ads and stuff. And I left another membership and joined this membership around the ad side of things, and that's been quite interesting so far. And I also had a one-to-one specifically around SEO. So one of the learnings that I've had in this season has been that sometimes it is just easy, and I really like it when people offer these one-off sessions, because sometimes I don't need to do a course, I don't need to learn like loads of stuff, I just need to have a one-to-one session with someone and just ask specific questions and get a plan as to what I need to do. I'm pretty good at implementing stuff mostly, although I'm realising there's some things from that one-to-one call that I haven't yet implemented, but I'm usually pretty good at implementing. And sometimes just having that opportunity to have a one-to-one call is really helpful. So I worked with a wonderful woman called Sarah Moon, and we had a really great one-to-one call, and that really helped me with a few specific questions that I had around my SEO, because my website is quite not unique, but in terms of the fact that I used to be a health coach, I've got a lot of health-based content on there, and now my niche is helping coaches start and grow the businesses so they can live a life that they love. And not all of my recipes and things, for example, like really worked with that, but we're still getting a lot of traffic. So I needed to know how to treat that content basically. And she's just brilliant on all things blog, SEO, content related. So that was really useful, really fab. And then going into February, I ran a paid live training on how to create a multi-platform content show, which is basically what it is that you are watching, reading, or listening to right now. So I did a paid live training on that, and that was really great. I had quite a number of people. I think I had about 30 or 40 people sign up for that, I think. But I had quite a good number of people sign up for that. It was, £37 I think I charged for it, so I wasn't making loads and loads of money, but it was really cool to offer that and to show people the whole process of creating something like this, which has worked so well for me in terms of my business and everything. It's been fantastic. So I did a paid live training of that. I signed a couple of new clients. I think I might have signed some clients in January, but I signed a couple of new clients in my Thrive mentoring program. I also built out a new funnel. So one of the things that I've been wanting to do this year, I've got like a big long list of things that I want to try and do this year. Whether or not I get through it all we'll have to see. But one of the things that I wanted to work on was looking at some of my funnels. So if you're not familiar on what a funnel is, or the way that I'm referencing it here, it's basically a funnel is a journey that you take someone on usually from joining your list, although some people say funnels are starting earlier in terms of the content that you create. From someone joining your list to offering them a product and having them buy that product is often called a funnel. And what I did, I think I did it in an afternoon. I was like just really focused, but I created a new freebie and I created a new funnel and set everything up on evergreen, which basically means that there's a discount, but that is served to people whenever they enter the funnel. And that was for my Pinterest Magic program, and it's worked really well. I've sold a couple of courses in that funnel so far, and that seems to be converting quite well. So I was really chuffed that I got that set up in such a small space of time. I just needed that focus to get it done. So that was really cool. And in February, I also took a week off because it was half term, and that was just really lovely just to be able to take a week off. I think I did a few little jobs here and there, but I was pretty much off, which was fantastic. So I really enjoyed that. And then going into March was really all around promoting my Wholehearted Business Group program. So I ran a free kind of, not a challenge, but it was like a free training experience where I basically delivered a free paid live training around how to up level and elevate your coaching business. And that got excellent feedback. And then for the rest of the week, there was like a workbook. There was like a whole bundle of resources that came with it. So it was the way that I wanted to run it was to provide a lot of value and basically see where that kind of took us. So lots and lots of value, did the training, the resources, and then there was 3 coaching sessions during the week that were live that I ran. And that worked. That seemed to work well. I had like 100 people sign up, which I was really happy with. That was the target that I wanted to hit. So I had 100 people sign up. I did want to run Facebook ads to that before, but I left it far too late and my Facebook ads just weren't working. So what I would do, one of the big learnings that I had in March was just that I think, first of all, lead generation through Facebook ads is something that I want to have going on a much more continuous basis. So that's something I've got on my list for this quarter to do. But also just the timing wise, I felt like I left a lot of things a little bit late with this and didn't give myself enough time. And I think that's probably partly because of the week off that I had in February, going into kind of like the warming up kind of launch period for Wholehearted Business. It just felt a little bit more rushed than I would have liked it to. But I really enjoyed running Elevate. That was really fab. I connected with some people who were completely new to me, which was really great. So I had some people join the calls and things like that who I'd never connected with before. So that was really great to get to connect with them. And then the following week, it was around really promoting Wholehearted Business. So as I speak, I had 3 people join Wholehearted Business. And I went into this, honestly, not with a major number in my head in terms of how many people wanted to sign up. Sometimes I'll do like a good, a better, and a fucking amazing goal. You have 3 goals. I didn't really have any idea in mind with this. It was just all a bit experimental, and I think I've talked about this before in episodes of the show, talking about how just being experimental is one of my values and just testing things out to see what works. So yeah, so I've got 3. There's as I record this, there's someone else who's still making a decision, and that's fine. But yeah, so I was quite happy with that. When I launched Wholehearted Business last March, I didn't have anyone sign up. So I'm really happy that I've had those people sign up. And again, I've been making tweaks to the program and changing it quite a bit. And it's a really fantastic group program. But I've learned a lot through this launch. And I think just the energy of like holding the energy of being in a launch, because I don't often do, the only thing I really launch is this. I don't do big, although I'm doing like mini launches, but nothing on the scale of what I did with this. And it was interesting, and I'm debating whether or not I will do another launch for Wholehearted Business. I'll still run the program, but I might invite people into that program on more of an evergreen kind of rolling basis, but I haven't made that decision yet. It was just, I think what kind of was interesting is my daughter Freya was sick right in the middle of it. My son was unwell. I was not super well. I've got a bit of a cold. And just all those things combined made it feel heavier than I would have liked. And that's not how I want to do business. I want things to feel light. Now, I still showed up for that launch. I can remember there was a time in the middle of the week and I sat down and I was like, okay, Laura, how do you want to show up for the rest of this and be in integrity with yourself and honour everything else that you've got going on? Because at one point I was like, do I extend it? Do I just cancel it? What do I do? Things felt a bit crazy because I had my daughter off from nursery, so I was losing work time. And as it happened, I don't think there was a lot of things that I would have done differently even if I'd been at 100%. I feel like the launch model piled more pressure onto that situation than it necessarily needed. So that was quite an interesting learning. And like I say, I've still got a bit to unpack around that. I still feel like I showed up in my integrity and I showed up the way that I wanted to show up. And there was little places that I always think what's interesting in launches. And this is another thing as well, is to why I still think I might do a launch, because you get so much learning out of a short period of time. It condenses things and actually you get lots of golden nuggets out of that period, even if it's not perfect or you're not necessarily happy with the results. I was quite happy with the results that I had from that, but you get so much learning out of that experience. So from that point of view, I actually still want to do launches, but yeah, it's a weird one. At the same time, one of the things that I learned was around, is this the right way that I want to show up going forward? So there's a big question mark over that, but I was really happy with that. I was really happy with the numbers that I got. I've got 3 really fantastic women who have joined the group. There's already members in there. I think we've got about 14 women in there at the moment, because everyone gets the option to stay on a rolling basis after the 6 months if they wish, which is lovely. So we've got a good number in there. I'm really happy with that program. It's going to I know that it's going to grow, and I've learned a lot from this particular launch. So that was really interesting as well. And then other things that I've noticed in March was, again, just this trickle of, and actually it's more than a trickle now, but this flow of people buying my courses and programs without any promotion. That has been really interesting. And yeah, it's just to see that kind of grow and hopefully continue. That is really awesome, because that's making money without having to do very much after you've created something. That's what we're all aiming for, really, when we're having courses and programs, especially on Evergreen. So that has been awesome. Yeah, so I'm just looking at my notes. That was the first quarter, the first season of 2022. In terms of income, I have listed it down. So in January, my total income for the month was £4,284. And I should have probably noted down the breakdowns. But again, like, my income in my business comes from, like, the headings that I've got in my cash flow spreadsheet are one-to-one clients, brand and web design and coaching clients, affiliate income, courses and programs. I feel like there's something else in that mix. My group program, and I think that's where most of my income comes from, is under those headings. So that was really cool. And then in February, my income was £3,546, which was fine and great. And then in March, as I record this, my income is £8,654, which again, I'm really happy with. I'm hoping before March, so I'm recording this on Monday the 28th. I would really like to tip the 10 grand cash for the month. We shall see what transpires over the next couple of days. So that would be pretty cool if I top 10k. But as I've spoken about before, I think it's not like a 10k month's a 10k month, and it's lovely on paper, and it feels like it feeds my ego, but in reality it's not. It doesn't significantly shift anything in terms of, it just means that my cash flow is a bit healthier. I've got enough to pay my tax bill. Like, my fucking ridiculous big tax bill in June, my corporation tax bill. It means I can probably take out a little lump sum. So that's quite exciting. I'm going to take out a little lump sum out of the business as a dividend to help towards some home improvements that we've got going on, which I'll talk about in a sec. So actually, I'm saying that there is some pretty cool things out of having a bigger month. But that jump is in part due to the Wholehearted Business Program, but lots of other things that have come in as well. And yeah, and it's pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that income amount coming in. And then looking at my cash flow forecast, so in my spreadsheet, I always have the number, so I map out when I've got payments due in, and looking at the number, that kind of tells me where I'm at for the year. So for the year so far, so knowing what I've already got secured in terms of income that's due, it's over 25k, which I'm really happy with at this point in the year. So only March, this isn't cash, but in terms of forecast, it's 25k that I've already got forecasted for 2020, which I'm really happy about. So that's the income side of it. So just to speak a little bit about why I'm sharing numbers, I think there's a few different reasons why it's helpful to do so. I think, first of all, especially for women, we don't talk about money enough, and I think it's empowering and illuminating when we do talk about numbers. Now, some of you guys might be listening to those numbers and thinking, that's amazing, fantastic. Some of you guys might be listening to those numbers and thinking, well, that's not that much. Whatever, that's totally, it's like wherever we're calibrated is to what we're going to make of those numbers. For me personally, I share them because I think it's what I want to show you guys what's possible. I'm proud of those numbers because I've worked really long and hard in my business while bringing up children, while working 20 hours a week. And I'm really proud of those numbers because I've worked hard to get them. And again, I think it's just from this point of view of, I don't think we talk about it enough, and I think it's really good to talk about numbers. And plus, as someone who does mentor people on their businesses, I think it's important that I walk my talk as well, and that you guys can see, actually, I do actually know how to run a business that makes money. But my guess is that if you're really concerned about huge numbers, you're not listening to this show, because I'm probably not your cup of tea. If you want all the 6-figure, 7-figure coaches, there's plenty of them. I will probably not be your cup of tea, and that is totally fine. And that's not to say that I haven't got big goals. I have, but I'm more than happy on finding my own journey and route to get there. So yeah, that's why I'm sharing numbers, basically. And then alongside the numbers, my email list, again, I think this is quite interesting to know. So my email list is currently at 3,034 people, and my open rates are at 35% on average. Again, happy with that. My list has probably gone down a little bit, I think, because, again, you always get unsubscribes when you're in a launch. It's just part and parcel of how things go. I'm saying that it's probably, I think at the start of the year, I think I was about 3,100-ish, I think. So I've probably gone down a little bit, but people unsubscribing, that's totally fine. So yes, so those are some numbers for you from the first quarter of my year. And then just going into some of the lessons that I've learned. So like I say, in the last couple of weeks, and that was really what triggered me wanting to do this episode of the show and do a bit of behind the scenes, because I just feel like I've learned so much stuff, and it's been condensed in a really small period of time. It's been really intense. It's just felt a bit more intense than I would have perhaps liked it, but that's really because of sick children and me not being 100% well and all of that kind of jazz. But things that I have learned, definitely about doing ads, if this is applying to you, if you want to run ads. But for me, if I want to run ads for something, I need to do it much sooner. And like I say, I'm working on a more ongoing strategy of running ads in general. So that's something I'll be setting up, if not this week, but maybe next week, and just getting that back up and running. I've already mentioned a bit about the learnings around launching, and I'm still not quite sure how I fit in around that. I might still do a launch in September. I just don't know. I'm in the flow of it, and that's fine. It's like an illuminating thought around Pinterest and idea pins. So I'm fairly well known for Pinterest. It's one of my favourite platforms. But Pinterest has been a bit funny recently. But I had a bit of a thought around it, because I think the thing with Pinterest is that people are comparing Pinterest with how it used to be. Now, a few years ago, Pinterest was it still is a fantastic place to be, but it was really good in terms of traffic and email list subscribers and all that jazz. Since the platform's changed, that has shifted it a little bit. However, what I did was I wanted to do a direct comparison between the views that I was getting on an Instagram reel and the views that I was getting on an idea pin. Now, this is the invitation for you, something that you can try out for yourself, is to do a comparison and see which is getting the most views. Because if we take out of the equation what Pinterest used to be good at, which was linking back to our websites, getting people on our list, and if we look at purely visibility and views, so if we take all of that rest of that out of the equation and compare Pinterest and Instagram purely on views and purely on eyes and visibility, just do a comparison. Because what I've noticed, I've got nearly 100k followers on Pinterest, which might skew my numbers a bit, but I'd be really interested to know, and I need to invite some people in my Facebook group to do this little experiment, because what we might find is that actually we're like scrabbling around on Instagram, but we could be getting more eyes on our stuff on Pinterest using idea pins rather than reels. Or you can do what is the smart way, and you can actually just use your reels on Pinterest idea pins, or do what I've been doing and putting my reels on YouTube as YouTube shorts as well. So that was just a little kind of learning, like specific kind of thing that I had. Thoughts that I had. Also, I watched a really fantastic Facebook Live with Ray Dodd. So Ray Dodd talks all around money. She's a money coach, and she was talking a little bit about Instagram and about the changes to the platform and how like engagement is basically like absolutely shite at the moment. But she was talking about what she's been doing, and I just found that really helpful. So she's posting twice a day, so it really increased the frequency. But what I loved about what she said was that she mentioned that she's really leaning away from perfectionism and just creating content and just pushing herself just to create stuff and not worrying about it being like this amazing piece of content. And I thought that was really interesting, and that's something, a big thing that I want to take forward, especially with Instagram, is to, and it goes, and this is where we've got to be really careful, I think, about our alignment, because part of me is like, oh, do I just want to be churning out stuff for the sake of it? But I think sometimes I can remember reading a quote somewhere, and it was basically the way that you hone your craft and the way that you get good at something is by doing it lots and lots and lots. And actually, doing it lots and lots and lots, that's not necessarily a bad thing, even if the stuff that you create in the process of that isn't going to be perfect. So that helped me reframe that a little bit. So I'm quite interested to explore that going forward as well. And then I'm scrolling my notes to see if there was anything else, any major learnings. I think something big that's been happening for me behind the scenes is I've had quite a big health and wellbeing journey going on behind the scenes as well. So I went into the start of this year just not feeling very good in myself. So my energy was really low. I had been diagnosed with anemia, and that wasn't shifting. I was having issues like with iron tablets and just having really low energy. My anxiety was not good, like not terrible, but I would say I've got like a form of high functioning anxiety, so I can get on with life and everything's fine, but it's there in the background and it just diminishes your quality of life quite a lot. So I went into the year feeling pretty rubbish and made some commitments to myself around how I was going to turn that around. So I made some changes to my diet really to help with iron and energy. So I made some changes to my diet and I started working out on a much more regular basis. So I have the Peloton app. I absolutely love Peloton. I don't have the expensive bike. I might have that in the future, but I have an old spin bike and I have the Peloton app. And I found that I can do that 3 times a week and they're just literally 20-minute workouts 3 times a week that I've been doing. I do like the cycling workouts and I do the strength workouts and sometimes the yoga, but I've got another yoga subscription that I use. And I've also been making a big commitment to walking more. So all the school runs, all the nursery drop-offs, all of the nap times, I tend to take Freya out for a walk. So I've really increased the amount that I'm walking and that has made a really massive difference. I also started taking CBD oil as well, which a remarkable difference in anxiety alongside obviously the exercise and things, but those things have made a really big difference to how I feel. Just a huge difference. I can't even express, like a really massive difference. I feel like a very different person to what I was when I started the year. And even just from a mindset point of view, I feel like just my thoughts are so much clearer and my motivation is much higher. In January it took a bit of a dip, I think, certainly I think as I made some dietary changes, but it's really picked back up and it's been quite amazing really to see the difference that has made. So that's been pretty awesome, and that's been, like I said, that's just been going on in the background. And then other things just like life-wise, as I record this, so when this goes out, it will be the previous week, we've got builders starting work. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see behind me, this is my dining room and we've got the kitchen there and that is the living room there. We haven't had an office until very soon. We're going to have one. So one of the big things I've been manifesting for quite a while is to have an actual office space, because we really need a dining space that is just a dining space and an office that is just an office. So our garage is going to get converted into an office, and we're also having some work done on our utility room where our washer, dryer and everything sits, and we're going to have a downstairs cloakroom installed as well. So we're going to have a downstairs loo. So it's all go. It just feels like the last couple of weeks has just been a lot of stuff, like a lot of up leveling. And sometimes I wonder with myself getting sick, sometimes I have this where I'll get sick or I'll have a big business wobble, and it comes at the point of a big jump in growth, in experiences that I'm welcoming in. It's really interesting. So I had that just at the back of my mind. So yeah, it's been an intense couple of weeks, but going into the next season, going into spring, I'm really excited. I've got so many fab things to work on. Like I said, I've got quite a few learnings that I want to take forward around content, certainly around like Instagram and Pinterest especially. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I am planning a live round, which is going to be a bit different for me. I'm going to bundle together some of my courses and I'm going to run a live round. We're going to start on the 2nd of May, I think it is. It's around about the bank holiday here in the UK, but we're going to start around then and run for 4 weeks. And it's really going to be around creating a full content strategy from top to bottom. So we're going to combine a lot of what I've got in Blog School and Pinterest Magic and how to create a multi-platform content show. And I'm going to throw in some extra trainings, and it's really around creating a full content strategy so that within that live round, within those 4 weeks, you are, creating a content strategy for the rest of the year. You are getting a podcast set up and started, you're starting to write a blog, it's really around the practical side of things. So that's the main thing that I've got planned for this quarter. Possibly also a summit in June, but I am sitting with the timings of that and whether or not I'm going to have enough time to realistically do it, but that's going to be quite exciting. Well, yes, that has been the first quarter of 2022. I would love to know if you found this post helpful. I'd love to know if you want me to continue to do these. It would be really helpful if I could get some feedback from you. Please pop me a DM on Instagram. I'm at wholeheartedlylaura, or leave me a review if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, or leave me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. It'd be really helpful to know if this kind of stuff is useful to you. Yeah, let me know. And if there's anything else that you want me to include in these kind of behind the scenes posts as well, yeah, just give me a shout. But I hope that's been helpful. I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.